Joined by a very special guest, my sister, Marli, who is coming to
Hi.
us from Canby, Oregon, my hometown, and one of the very best towns, I think, in the United States. It even has its own very special gazebo,
Oh,
and it's a town. How many people are in Canby, Marli? Do you know?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
think I remember hearing a few years ago it was something like 15,000
yeah, I think that's right. I guess it's grown
ish.
since I was there last.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think when I was growing up, it had about 10,000. So now if it has
Mhm.
15,000, that's probably true.
Last, I'm sorry, last I checked on Google, it was about 17,000.
Oh,
So it just keeps on growing. See?
yeah. They
Exactly.
just keep
It's
building houses, so I'm not surprised.
yeah.
Marley, right now, are you in Canby because of the quarantine?
Yeah, I'm in Canby.
Okay. Uh, how old are you, Marley?
I'm 19.
My God, very young.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you still live with your parents, Marley?
No, I moved out in December.
Okay. So you're 19 and you moved out, but you moved to another, like an apartment or a flat in Canby or outside Canby?
In Canby. I'm about like 5 minutes from my parents' house, maybe
Okay.
even less.
Is that convenient? Is that cool? Do you see them
Yeah.
often or?
Yeah, I see them often. I work at a insurance office about 2 blocks from my parents' house, so I park at their house and then walk over to work. So I see them at least every time I work.
Okay, now a question from a Brazilian man, because it's everything is different here. Why did you move out if you're like Ryan? I know Ryan's history. He moved out and he moved to Seattle, right? Right.
Yeah.
Why did you move out if you're so close to your parents?
Yeah, I wanted to get away from my parents
Okay.
in the nicest way possible.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Oh, Marley, I met Brenda and I met Andrew, and they are so lovely. So,
Yeah, they're great. But yeah, I just wanted to get out of the house, I think. And I went to Seattle for 3 months my freshman year of college. So I was out and then I had to come back and stay with my parents and live by their rules, which was not very fun when I had 3 months of freedom. So I was itching to get out for about a year.
okay, all right. Uh, how long have you been out?
Um, 5 months
How
ish.
long have you been back in?
Um, I went to Seattle for 3 months and then I came back in January and was home for about a year and then moved out in December.
Okay, and you're there right now. You're in your flat or you're with your parents?
I'm at my apartment.
Oh, okay. Uh, sorry, sometimes I get British, so I say flat, but I never say lorry. Okay. All right, and um, so you've been to São Paulo before, right?
One time.
And how did you like it?
I really liked it. I'm a big fan of big cities, so it was fun for me, especially coming from Canby. It's just so different. Um, yeah, it was good. I liked the weather. I liked a lot of things about São Paulo.
That's
The
really funny
weather.
because I hate the weather. I live here in São Paulo, and the weather is the one thing about São Paulo that I cannot stand. Everything else, the big city, the people, the chaos, everything else, I enjoy some of.
Yeah.
But the weather,
Yeah, I don't think I could live in that weather full time. Nice to visit though. Yeah.
You can't weather the weather, right?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. So the way, yeah, I understand that you like the weather. Do you remember when you were here?
Yeah, it
What
was
time?
beginning of November.
Okay, that was summertime, springtime, summertime.
Do you
Okay, that
remember what
was
year it
nice.
was? Just to remember.
2017.
Yeah, that's right. Because you were just entering your last year of high school, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weather. Okay, the weather here for us, for Ryan and I that live here, it's like four seasons in a day. It's insane,
Yeah.
really insane. And Ryan told me once, I remember I was out with him, we worked together and we were out just talking, and it was really, really, really cold, like 6 degrees Celsius. I don't know how much that is in Fahrenheit.
Yes, so
Uh,
cold. I don't
but
know.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Maybe
was really cold.
45 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I asked Ryan, and I couldn't stand it. Ryan was just like, yeah, so blah blah, talking. Ryan, how can you act that normal? No, that's Seattle. Seattle's just like that. Like the whole year,
Hey,
just
yeah.
for 2 weeks, it's very very hot, and then all the year it's just drizzling. And I said, okay. So Ryan, would you say that the thing you don't like about the weather in São Paulo is that it's not constant. It's very unstable. Or you just
No,
don't
the
like the
thing I like
weather.
about the weather is it's too hot. I prefer it to be cold and rainy.
Yeah.
And there's too much sun. Too much. And I know that in like Seattle or Canby, which isn't that far from Seattle really, in the winter it gets a little too cold and dark and rainy and wet and depressing for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
personally, I love it.
Yeah. I like the September to October in Canby. It's not too cold, but it rains and it looks sad out, but I like that. But once it gets like really cold and in the 40s, I don't like it here. Too cold for me.
And
I
I
don't like
also
to
miss
contemplative, right? Contemplative. What?
what's that?
No, I don't like to say that. I don't like to call that kind of weather sad or depressing. I like to call. I don't know exactly the word. I don't know if it's contemplative.
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe that's why there's a lot of good music and art from Seattle and Portland, is that the people get stuck inside for 4 or 5 months and can't go out or do anything. So they just have to write some songs about how depressed they are. And that's why we have grunge music.
What about artists from Canby?
Are there any artists from Canby?
Probably.
A teacher at my high school is trying to be an artist. She's, I don't know. Besides that, not really.
I heard Charlie Sheen's from Canby. No? Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. So.
And we saw that picture, or I saw it, and I showed it to Rodrigo, of Fabio in a grocery store or a big store near Canby. Did you ever figure out if that was real? Is that really Fabio?
I have no idea. I remember seeing it and everyone was freaking out for a good 2 days trying to figure out if it was him, but I haven't heard anything since.
It was real. It was real. I saw some people try to create how can I say that conspiracy theory behind it. It was Fabio. He was just over at Canby.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And another one is Kristen Bell. Her boyfriend or husband, which is it? Husband.
Dax Shepard.
Mm-hmm. He grew up in the town next to Canby. So sometimes when they're on vacation, they show up in Canby.
So I actually have a story about that.
Yeah.
So my roommate her parents own a restaurant in like it's Charbonneau. It's like an old, well, it's not only for old people, but it's like a community, a nice, rich community that a lot of old people live in. They own a restaurant in there. And like 2 or 3 months ago, Lexi and I were at the restaurant working and we left. And it's like a 10-minute drive back home. We're probably 4 minutes into our drive home and we get a call from her mom. She's like, so Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard were just here. They got here like as you left. They just wanted some soup or something, and now they're going to ride go-karts over at Pat's Acres, which is like 3 minutes from my apartment and from our house. And yeah, they were there. They wouldn't take pictures because they're with their kids. But yeah, I think his parents might live in Charbonneau.
I think so. That happened when I was there, right? For Christmas.
Oh yeah,
because, yeah. She was there for Christmas with Dax Shepard, yeah, with their family.
Which apparently they switch off years. They'll go to Kristen's family one year and then come to Oregon the next year.
So if you want to find Kristen Bell, look for her in Canby in 2021.
Yep. I'm just gonna show up at the restaurant again.
Yeah. Hopefully the quarantine will be over by then.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yes.
Or maybe she's there now, hiding out during the quarantine in Canby.
Maybe.
That would
you guys follow her or him on Instagram?
I don't.
Dax Shepard. Remember, Ryan? I was telling Ryan that some famous people, they have a vibe, and they have a certain vibe that if I message them and ask them to be on a live, they'll say, sure, okay, no problem. Dax Shepard has that vibe.
Yeah.
I'll just ask him and I'll be like, yeah, okay. Won't even ask why, just say yeah.
That does sound like him.
So Marli, about São Paulo. So you like the weather, oddly enough. Did you have the chance to go to a churrascaria here?
I don't know. I don't think
No.
so.
I don't think we went to churrascaria, but we went to, do you remember the Feijoada restaurant? We went in, it was near the Beco do Batman.
Really close to that, I think.
Yeah. What did you think
Papa
of that?
Gary.
Yeah, we went to the same place with Papa Gary.
Okay.
What did you think of the Feijoada?
I thought it was really good. I don't remember. I think there were a few different kinds there. I don't remember which one I got. But I liked it, and I'm not a big stew or soup person, so that's a win from Brazil. I'm a really picky eater, so getting me to eat different foods is very difficult. But I liked most of the food in Brazil. I'd say all of the food, actually, I liked.
Did you get food poisoning?
No.
Because Ryan did. I think the first time you went to the beach, you got some weird fish.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, my very first Christmas here, we went to the beach. We went to Caraguá, and went to the beach, and we're hanging out. I try, and and we're at the beach on Christmas Eve, and there was a guy walking along the beach with a little tiny barbecue, and it was about like this big, his barbecue, and we come over, we want some fish. And so he fried some fish right there for us. And then I ate the fish. And the next morning, Christmas morning, I had a 40-degree fever, which in Fahrenheit must be 103, 104 degrees. And yeah, I was like heading towards death, I guess. And I had to go to the public hospital in Pindamonhangaba, which is not a great place to be for any Brazilian, they would know. And I got to the public hospital, and there, of course, was a line. Even on Christmas morning, there's a line at the public hospital. And luckily, a doctor came out into the waiting room and was like, no, I think this guy here, he needs more help than the other people. And so I got to jump the line, and he took me back and saved me.
He's very wide.
Yeah,
I think he deserves more help.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. Ryan, did you dive like straight to the? Was it you that hurt your nose?
Yeah. So the second time that I went to the beach,
Not a big fan of the beach.
I dove into the ocean, and I missed the wave. So instead of diving into it when the wave was high, I dove when the wave was low, and I just dove into the sand.
Oh.
And hit my face and got a big bloody hole right there on my face.
Okay. Well, all right. So I like that in São Paulo. Okay. I remember your grandpa, Papa Gary, right? He came to the churrascaria, and he didn't like it because why did he keep bringing me? Jesus Christ! I didn't ask them. Stop. And okay. And what was something that I'm very curious about before you came to São Paulo? Before you knew about Ryan? Before Ryan told you about São Paulo? Before Aline, Ali, do you guys ever know about Brazil in school or no?
No, I wouldn't know a single thing about Brazil besides where it's at on a map.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after Ryan and Ali met, and then you started to hear about Brazil. How is it different when you just heard about it and then you came here and you saw it and you're like, it's different?
Yeah. I think that it's just so much, São Paulo especially, is just so much bigger and so many more people than someone from Canby could ever imagine. Because there's like nobody in Canby. And the people here, I know all of them and I'm related to half of them. And then you go to São Paulo and it's like the people just never stop coming. And the city just goes on forever. Which that, I love that, but it still, I was expecting one thing and it was more than I expected.
Okay. I remember Ryan asked me, every time your mom and dad come to Brazil, I asked Ryan to meet with them. And so we tried to arrange something. And Ryan said, well, I think the only day would be a Wednesday, but I'll be at work. So can you just go to my apartment and give him a ride to the train station and then take him to São Paulo? And I said, sure, I'll have to. Now, I didn't want it to be like that, but okay. And then I went, and I was supposed to help him, like, not get lost, and they ended up helping me because turns out they came to São Paulo more frequently than I did. So
That's funny.
yeah, they helped me. And,
Sounds like my dad.
yeah, and I had great breakfast, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, that day when my mom made biscuits for you and gravy.
No biscuits. She made gravy, taters, and hamburger gravy, potatoes, eggs, Pop-Tarts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah, blueberry Pop-Tarts. Or no, white unicorn Pop-Tarts, something like that.
Interesting.
Just a moment. Just a second. My son is here. Just a second, please.
Well, Marli, now because of the virus, because of we're all in quarantine, and one thing is that we're all getting used to these Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodrigo and I, all of our English classes are on Zoom. And before the before the outbreak, Rodrigo had been doing online classes for a long time. So he's a master of online communication.
And by the way, this, what happened now, it happens all the time. So
yeah.
this is something that happens with Zoom. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I didn't really like it before. I had tried it with some of my classes. I didn't really enjoy it. So I didn't do until just now. It's been a month and a half, I guess, but it seems like 30 years.
Seems like so long.
Yeah, but now with time, I've gotten more used to it, and I'm starting to enjoy it more. And I know that you are doing a lot of your classes for college online.
Yeah.
So how is it going for you?
So I'm taking 4 classes right now, and 2 of them are on Zoom.
And what are you studying? What is your course?
Psychology. I'm mostly taking psychology classes this term too. Both of the ones on Zoom are psychology. I have 4 Zoom meetings a week, which is a lot compared to other American kids that are taking Zoom classes. Most people will have 1 Zoom call a week for their class, and then everything else will just be online.
Like online exercises, or what do you mean online?
Yeah, so our school has a website that you can go on that has a bunch of different modules, and it shows like, here's the reading for the week, and then you can turn in assignments on the website, and you can do a bunch of different stuff. So that's where most of the things happen. We just have our lectures on Zoom, and then do like activities on Zoom too.
Okay. And how many people are usually in the Zoom classes? How many other students are with you and the professor?
Usually between like 30 and 40.
Oh wow.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Is that how does it work? Do you think it's very nice? Is it
I think
what is your opinion?
Now that I'll be starting my 6th week of the term tomorrow. Everyone has the hang of it now. The professor is usually the only one who's unmuted, and all the other students will be muted unless they have a question or they get called on, which, just for the sake of technology, doesn't happen that often because everyone's having Wi-Fi problems all the time. So yeah, usually we all just sit there quietly and take notes while the professor talks. One of the classes I'm taking is a research psychology class. So I have 3 Zoom meetings a week for that class, and they're only an hour long, which isn't bad at all. So I really like that class. The professor's young too, so that helps because she knows how to work computers.
Right. I was going to ask if you've noticed like an age gap, like in the teachers or the students. The younger ones are better able to adapt, and the older ones are having difficulties. Is that true?
Yeah. So one of my classes, the professor's probably in like her 30s, or early 30s. And then my other class, my professor is probably in his 60s or 70s, and he's German, so he has an accent. And he has no idea how to work computers still. So I've stopped going to the Zoom meetings for that class because there's no point. But yeah, the first week in that class, it's a 4-hour class, which is ridiculously long for a college online class.
4 hours.
Yeah. And because it was supposed to be on campus, and it was only supposed to be 1 day a week. So that makes sense. But then when you turn it into a Zoom lecture, 4 hours takes forever to go by. Yeah, and it's a graduate level class, so all the information I need is in the textbook. So I've just stopped going to the Zoom classes because it's more frustrating than helpful. But yeah, at this point, I don't mind the Zoom classes. They're annoying for sure, but that's just, school's just annoying. So that's just how it is.
What do you think is missing? Like when you switch from doing a class in person on campus to doing a class online, what are some things that get lost?
I think even though you can see people's faces, having them in a room with you is a lot different, just the way people interact. And I learn fine this way. I kind of teach myself everything. I just read and then I understand it. But for students who don't understand things that easily, I'm sure they're really struggling, because you can't just have the professor come over to you in the classroom and quietly talk to you. Everybody has to hear it in the Zoom call. So either you keep up with the entire Zoom call, or you have to go to office hours some other day and talk to them privately. So I'm sure a lot of students are behind and have no idea what's going on, which is too bad, but there's not much we can do about it.
Do you have any ideas about what could be done to make it better?
I don't think there's that much that can happen. I think, especially since the school has no idea what's going on. They're just taking it day by day and throwing stuff at the window and seeing or at the wall and seeing if it sticks. But I think if we're doing online classes for a long time, we'll definitely figure out better ways to make things work. Mm-hmm. But right now they're just trying to get this term done so they can take a break for the summer, I think.
And Rodrigo, you've been doing online classes for a long time, a lot longer than I have. Years, right?
Yes.
Do you have any ideas about how to make online classes better? I know most of, or all of yours are just one-to-one, but you must have some experience about how to make an online class better.
Well, as you said, it's much easier when it's one-to-one. What you have in being computer savvy is important. Okay, being able to use Google Education and Ryan, you taught me about Google Education and now Microsoft Teams Education too. But tools are very important in this moment. And what Marli said about not being able to have a one-on-one talk, a private talk, it's not nice. But Marli, one question. You said that just like 30 to 40 people muted, and the teacher's talking. He's the only one that's not mute, that is able to speak. But isn't that similar in a way to a class? The teacher, to regular class, the teacher goes there in front of everybody, and he just a second. So, and he just talks, and people take notes. And so, what's the biggest difference?
Yeah, I think especially with the classes I'm taking, a lot of people will have specific questions about a project they're working on. So like for my research psychology class, what we're doing this term is making a research proposal. So we have to write out an introduction and choose a research question. And it's all a very specific project for each person. So having it online is a little difficult because everyone has very personalized questions that only apply to their project. So if I were to ask a question in the Zoom call with 40 people, it'd be wasting 10 minutes of valuable class time that could be used to explain more general things to the whole class. So if I were to have a question, I'd have to take time out of my day later in the week to go to a one-on-one meeting with my professor to ask questions. Yeah.
So another thing, since you study psychology, here in Brazil, I was looking for a psychology course, an online psychology course. Here in Brazil, online courses are big now. People before quarantine. I mean, for the past 5 years, it grew very much, the demand for that. So, but psychology, we can't have psychology online classes or courses. There's no online psychology classes.
Yeah.
Courses. How are things in America for online courses? Because I never heard about. Uh, do
Hmm.
you guys have online courses, like
Yeah.
completely online?
A lot of, I'd say almost every term that I've had in college, I've taken at least one online class. But I wouldn't say that's normal for every American college student. I I like online classes because I'm a huge introvert and going on campus tires me out. So I really like being able to do online classes, especially because I learn by teaching myself. But at my school, there's online options for almost every course that exists. Besides like art classes and things that you need to be doing things in the classroom to get credit. But yeah, there's online psychology courses. Um, I wouldn't choose to take those because I think that classes like psychology for my major, I'd rather be in a classroom for. Um, but yeah, online classes are huge in America and they just keep growing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So do you think that after this quarantine ends, whenever that is, that online courses will become the norm?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if on campus classes changed to a minimum after this because as annoying as Zoom is and online classes can be annoying, but they're so much nicer than having to commute an hour and a half to campus every time I have a class. I don't ever want to have to go back to that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't mind taking all my classes online until I graduate, but I think a lot of it depends on just how people learn because I don't think some people can take online classes and do well in them.
Right. And one of the reasons that online classes would be so nice is the cost,
Mm-hmm.
especially like you said, the cost to travel. But in the United States, one of the big differences with Brazil for college is that when people go to college, they move.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the college that they're going to study at, and they live there.
Yeah.
Which when I turned 18, when I graduated from high school, I moved to Seattle and I lived in the dorm and I lived on campus. And so like I walked
Yeah.
to my class every day, but that was really expensive to do.
Yeah. I'm saving
And
thousands of dollars living at the apartment instead of living on campus.
but you also tried to live on campus, right? For a few months?
Yeah, I lived on campus in Seattle for 3 months, give or take. And I'm just not cut out for living on campus, especially in a state that I don't know anybody in. I think I would have done a lot better in a dorm if I had gone to like Oregon State or somewhere in Oregon where I knew people, or even just somewhere close enough to Canby that I could come into town and see my friends. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a person I knew in Seattle for like 3 months straight, which didn't go well for me. But yeah, most people love dorms. I think I'm an exception.
I think I think you might be even more introverted than me.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because when I first moved out and I went to live in the dorms, and for Brazilian people, just to explain, an American dorm is like a is like an apartment building, except instead of living in an apartment where you have like a bedroom and a bathroom and a kitchen and a living room that's all yours, you have one. Well, mine was. I think yours was a little bigger, Marley. My dorm was one room that was like maybe 5 meters by 3 meters, probably smaller than that even. and there were 2 of us in this one room. And that was the entire dorm. We had space for our beds and a desk each, and there was a tiny sink that we could like brush our teeth in.
You had a sink? I didn't even have a sink.
but if we and we had closets.
Yes.
And that was the entire room. If we like to go to the bathroom, there was on the whole floor, there was a bathroom for the boys and a bathroom for the girls. And we had to share with the whole floor. There was no kitchen at all.
You didn't have a kitchen anywhere?
No.
We had a kitchen. So my dorm building had 3 stories.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 2 little tiny kitchens that were like, seriously, I couldn't even reach my arms. I couldn't put my arms straight out and not touch a wall. It was like there was room for a tiny little fridge, a horrible oven, a microwave, and a toaster. And you couldn't have more than 1 person in there at a time. And half the things didn't work, of course. And there would be people in there like trying to make cookies at dinner time. So then like, obviously I'm not gonna be able to make dinner because you're making cookies. So there was really no point in having a kitchen, but it was there.
Ryan, when you described it, it's very similar to a kind of how can I say, not accommodation. It's very similar. Wait, I'll describe it to you, and then you'll tell me if you recognize this. So it's a very small place that you can only fit a bed and maybe, like she said, an oven and a microwave, and there's no kitchen, and there's barely a bathroom, okay? And 2 people live in. Here in Brazil, there are lots of places like this, 4, 10, 11 people live in. But it's just not in college.
Yeah.
Just a horrible place. So yeah, people from Brazil, they could understand if you did that analogy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I lived for the first 2 years of college. And luckily I wasn't as introverted as Marli. So I made a few friends.
Yeah.
But only like 3. I had like 3 friends for the first 2 years of college. And I did everything with them. And getting out of home for the first time was really like different because until I had left home, I was super spoiled. Like mom cooked all of my food, did all of the laundry, did all of the cleaning, did everything, did all of the chores in the house.
Super mom.
Yeah. And
That's
so then when I moved out, I had to like deal with a lot of these things on my own. And that was a real shock.
I had that too. I'm especially because I don't think you experienced this, but I'm the type to just completely forget that I need to eat. I just completely forget that food is a thing sometimes. So I'd be in Seattle and it'd be like 9 o'clock at night. I'd be ready to go to bed, and I'd kind of just sit there and be like, oh, I didn't eat dinner. I don't know if I ate lunch. I probably ate breakfast or lunch or something. I probably had a snack, but I did not eat dinner. And I'm starving, but it's 9 o'clock. And we have like a tiny kitchen that I don't want to go into. So I guess I'm just going to heat up some pasta again and just eat pasta with butter on it and call it a day, which happened almost every night in Seattle, and happens here a lot too. So yeah, mom's cooking is one of the things that I miss dearly.
You guys are big on pasta and butter.
Yeah, in our dorm building, we had in the basement like a convenience store, like a boteco is what it would be, the most similar thing to Brazil. And it was open late. And so this same thing would happen to me, Marli, except it was mostly like laziness. Like, the cafeteria is at the other side of the campus. That's like a 15-minute walk. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll just go downstairs and get like a pizza roll.
Oh, yeah.
And a Coke and an ice cream. And that'll be dinner.
The little tiny ice creams like Ben and Jerry's or something. Yep.
Yeah.
I get those too.
And I did
One
that
question.
all the time.
Just a very simple question. How much do you pay for a Ben and Jerry's?
Like the
small-
little ones.
not
The
little ones.
tiny ones probably
Yeah.
like $3. Then there's like quart ones that are like $6. So they're not bad. And for me, the quart ones I probably get 2 or 3 servings out of, unless I decide to eat the whole thing. But usually I can get a few different servings out of it.
Right. So here in Brazil, it's $40.
Yeah. For the quart one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Ben
like,
and Jerry's is very expensive here. Very expensive. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Especially the cookie dough one.
I get the half-baked kind. I don't know if you
Right.
guys have that there, but it's my favorite.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember the names. Just
Yeah.
remember Cherry Garcia,
Mm-hmm.
and the cookie dough one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ryan, do you have any other questions about this?
what about you? What was it like when you moved out of your parents'
Me?
house? And yeah,
Okay.
how like compared to our experiences?
I don't think it can compare. But when I went to college, I was 18, and nothing changed, just the school. I used to go to high school, and then I just started going to another place. It was in another neighborhood, and I was living with my mom and dad. People treat 18-year-olds here in Brazil as if they were 12, you know. And there are a lot of late teenagers here in Brazil. A lot of people that are like 35 and they're still wearing those coconut. I forgot the name, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so, well, anyway, so I went to college and I happened to study the same thing Ryan did, political science. So nothing changed. Just nothing changed. And then just 2 years after I had started, I decided to stop, decided to quit. And then I said to my father, no, now I want to study, I think I want to study music. And he said, nah, nice. Only things that will get you rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
Political science and then music. Nice. So I went on to study music for a while. I stopped as well. I didn't finish. And I kept on living with my mom, my brother, until I was 31. He's 31, yeah. Then I moved out because my girlfriend at the time got pregnant, and we got a house, and that's when Victoria came, son. Then we moved out, and since we were 31, or when we were 31, we became adults officially.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, we were just technically adults living with our mom and dads.
Mm-hmm.
Just technically.
Yeah.
And that's much more common in Brazil, right? Is that people stay living with their parents until they decide to get married.
Exactly. That's not much more. That's what happens. You know, it's people that leave when they're 18. It's like, oh, Jesus, really? How did you do it? And they're either crazy or adventurous or heroes. You know, if you think about, for people like me, for people, what is my social level, Ryan? What would you say? Middle
class.
Yes, for people from middle class, it's not difficult. It's not difficult.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 18, if I tried, if I wanted to do the same as you guys did, to live in a small room in a small place, share it with others, it's not impossible. It's not even difficult. I could do that. But then Brazilian people, middle class Brazilian people, what we do is, I think I want to experience some difficulty in life. I want to see like hard times. So I'm moving to America. And so we moved to America, and our parents keep paying for everything. And
So it's really not that difficult.
no, it's much nicer because we can go out at night and not worry about being being robbed or something like that, you know. And we're far from our parents. We can get a fake ID and just go out to drink. So, but that's middle and upper middle class, of course.
Yeah, I think my experience was nice because I learned how to be an adult, but in like steps, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
in a structured way.
yeah, the dorms that I lived in were like a small step toward maturity because yeah, I was living on my own and I had to be responsible for some things, but not everything at once.
Mhm.
So I had to take care of my room, but I didn't really, and it didn't matter because me and my roommate were both messy people, and who cares? It was just a dirty mess all the time. And the college paid for somebody to clean the bathroom. So we weren't spreading diseases to each other because the bathroom was cleaned every day. And so if you don't clean up your bed, who cares? And I didn't have to worry about cooking because there was a cafeteria or the crappy Boteco place that I could go and get a pizza roll from. But I learned over time that I shouldn't eat pizza rolls every day because I started to get sick. And so I slowly learned this piece of being an adult, that you can't just eat garbage all of the time. And so a couple years later, when I moved out of the dorms and I moved into a house with my friend Tom, then I had to take another step of growing up and learn how to clean things, which I also didn't do because Tom and I are both messy people. So we still didn't really clean up, but we did occasionally have to clean the bathroom. And one funny story is that I knew nothing about cleaning, but one day I decided to clean the bathroom. And so I thought, bleach is a really good cleaner, and ammonia, that's a good cleaner too. And so I mixed bleach with ammonia because I thought the two of them would be an even better cleaning agent.
Yes.
And so I was cleaning the bathroom with my bleach ammonia mix. And then Tom comes in and he's like, "What the hell are you doing? You just made mustard gas. You're going to kill us all." And we had to dump it and leave the apartment open for like 12 hours so that we didn't die. But, you know, you learn.
You know,
you
guys,
learn in small steps.
You know, one thing that is really cool about the way you do things in America, it's really cool that you guys can have it's not a tradition, but it's cool that your father and your mom can tell you about going away to college because they also did it.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, your uncles and aunts and everybody, most people do it. And most people do it in a similar way. Here in Brazil, my father never went to college. My mom never went to college. Mari's father did. He's a doctor now, and he's a professor actually. But Mari's mother didn't. She only went when she was older, when she had the chance. So there's no tradition, you know. There's no like when I'm watching movies. It's one thing I asked my friend Kate. Kate, how truthful is like movies are? How because I never knew. I didn't know if it was a fabricated truth, and she said, "No, that's exactly how it is." Like one day we go to visit the college with our father, usually with her father, and then we visit 5 colleges,
Mm-hmm.
and then we talk. There's one guy that shows around, and And then we go home and we decide, and we wait for the letters, and then we have the GPA, and it's just here in Brazil, it's nothing. There's no pattern, nothing is standardized for anything, not only for that, but for anything. So I can never tell Vittorio, now you're doing the same as I did. Everything is different from one year to another. The whole structure of the country changes. So it's weird to have that thing, and it's very good for you guys. Very nice.
I suppose, but I think, like we were talking about, that probably within a few years it'll all be very different.
Right.
That because of this online thing and because of this crazy coronavirus making it change faster, that the next generation of people are not going to recognize the stories that I tell about going to college. Even Marli barely recognizes the stories that I tell about going to college, because she was only at college for 3 months.
That's true.
And I didn't go do anything. So even me being there during the whole 3 months, I'd understand the dorm room real well, but everything else, I didn't go do anything.
Well, I guess I ran out of questions about this, but Marli, you said that sometimes, and this is just something very light I wanted to ask, because Ryan never told me anything, not about this, of course. But what do you? I know Ryan loves Kraft mac and cheese. Okay. And I know that Kraft's mac and cheese has been following Ryan, and I found it here in Brazil. Ryan made mac and cheese for me, okay, in an act of love, and I never made it for him, but he made mac and cheese for me, and it was very nice. He made mac and cheese for my wife and Alfredo too.
Yes.
So I know what Ryan likes to eat, which is white cream made of butter. Any white cream made of butter with cheese. Okay. Now, what would you say you like to eat? What is your favorite childhood nostalgia food, or like heartwarming comfort food?
Well, I am a pasta maniac. If I could eat noodles for every meal for the rest of my life and be healthy, I would do it. With no question. I just love noodles. The first thing that comes to mind is my mom's Alfredo with her breadsticks. But when I actually think about it, I don't think I ate Alfredo until I was like 12, because I don't know why, I was too picky. So probably her mac and cheese would be the number one most, like, best comfort food, best, like, just the staple of, like, our home, I think. It's just so good. And not the Kraft. I do like Kraft mac and cheese, but she makes like a fancy homemade mac and cheese that's just so good.
Last time she came, she brought me Velveeta. Does she use Velveeta?
Yes,
okay.
She does.
First thing I did when I opened the block of that was that I tried Velveeta, like straight
just plain
up
Velveeta, just a bite. Oh.
It tastes weird.
No.
The smell is nice, but it doesn't taste. It tastes Velveeta like, It's like,
people don't like Velveeta here unless it's in something. And even if you tell them that Velveeta is in something, they'll still give you a weird look, like, why would you choose to eat that? But it's good. If it's like in mac and cheese, it's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, on its own, not good.
I have a very tragic story about Velveeta that will probably make Rodrigo cry. But I'm sorry. The last time that my parents were here, they also brought me a Velveeta. Or it might have been the time before that. I don't know. No, it was the the time before that they were here. Because this last time they brought me Velveeta and I said, I'm sorry, I can't eat macaroni and cheese anymore because my lactose intolerance has gotten so bad. So I gave that Velveeta to you. But 2 years ago they came and they brought me a Velveeta. And I didn't have the heart to tell them, oh no, I can't eat your Velveeta. So I took the cheese. And then I put it in the cupboard and forgot about it. And forgot about it. And forgot about it. And then a couple weeks ago, I was cleaning out the cupboard because it's quarantine and there's nothing to do. So one thing to do is to clean. And I reached into the back of the cupboard and I found this block. And I thought, what is this? And I pulled it out and it was a Velveeta. And I thought, Velveeta, it never goes bad. Of course, it's like an industrial miracle. So I thought, okay, I'll make some macaroni and cheese. But maybe I should check it first. And I opened it up. And instead of being an orange golden block of delicious, it was green and completely ruined.
Mold.
So I forgot about an entire block of Velveeta cheese and had to throw it away. And I apologize profusely to the universe.
Well, that's privilege. That's white privilege. Okay, that's American privilege. Because we don't have Velveeta here. You can just go to, no, not now, of course.
What am I supposed to do?
Jesus Christ, you can just go and pay, how much? $1 for a block of Velveeta?
It's pretty cheap. Yeah.
It's cheap, yeah.
And now I'm down to my last 3 boxes of Kraft. I'm hoarding it, saving it, but I only have 3 left. So it's tough times.
In one sitting, do you eat 1 box of Kraft or do you eat just one? Okay. One? Okay. I can't eat a whole thing.
I used to mix a box of Kraft with a can of chili and have chili mac.
Okay. Interesting.
You have to be careful.
Yeah, I've been making the Hamburger Helper chili mac that they have.
Chili
not
mac.
The same concept, but
it's delicious. Try it out. You should eat it before your stomach gets too old to enjoy such delicious things.
Yeah, actually.
Marli, just one more funny story. One time in my life, I had chili dog. Because here in Brazil is not a thing. Here in Brazil it's just crazy everything dog. You put everything in a hot dog. But I went to, do you remember where we had that, Ryan?
No.
No? I think I can say it here. We went to Hooters here in Brazil.
Wow.
Ryan and I, and both our wives, and I had chili dog and then never again. And the very nice thing about Hooters is that the girls, they came. Imagine me, a country boy from Brazil. I was like, what is that? Why, what? Okay, so I was there, and all of these girls, beautiful girls, they came and they talked only to my wife and Ali. They never even looked at Ryan and me. Yeah, because I think they were like, no, Brazilian women, you don't mess with them. They'll probably break our necks here. And so they came and they said to Ali, so what would you guys like? What about him? Yeah, really? Okay, nice. Thank you, ma'am.
That's funny. They just didn't want to talk to you, huh?
Exactly. So Ryan took me to a Hooters here in Brazil.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you want to add, Marli? Anything you want to ask us?
I don't know. I don't think so.
All right.
I should have thought of some things, but I didn't.
That's fine. Maybe we'll have you back on in a few months. But I think that's enough for today. So thank you for coming on and
thanks for having me.
So thanks for everybody for watching us and listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe and check us out on Instagram and everywhere else. and we'll see you all next week.